So I'm just going to do a quick run through of what came in the box for the Tutoro. Obviously there's the Tutoro oiler. It's just got a little knob, adjust the amount of oil that comes out. Inside it's got a an actuator, so you pull it up to prime it. Once it's primed you let it go, and then through normal movement of the bike that'll run. It came with a nice little top-up flask which you take with you, and I imagine just top it up if you're on long trips. 500 ml of oil, which was nice. Some instructions. Nice little thank you for the for buying a hose clamp set. This is the universal bracket. You zip tie this to your frame somewhere, and then you can position that wherever and then attach that. A whole stack of zip ties. This is a helix. I don't know. You attach that to the hose, and then this helps you to guide that to wherever you need it to be. This is the single-sided nozzle. It's flared at one end, that goes in your hose, and then that can drip on one side. If you buy the deluxe kit, you get this double-sided sprocket, sits in between there, drips oil. This is the hose. It's got a copper insert that keeps the hose. There's enough hose here to probably run from up near the handlebars somewhere, so I'm pretty generous with the hose. This is the hose clamp set. Self-adhesive sticky bits. I'm not a big fan of self-adhesive sticky anything because they don't seem to sticky for too long. This is it's just an alcohol, a rubbing alcohol cleaner. Comes with a hex key, which is the right size for the stainless steel fasteners that come with the clamp. This whole assembly is made from stainless steel and it's pretty sturdy. I'm pretty happy with that. And a set of instructions for using the multi-fit bracket assembly. Now all that's really good, but I'm going to do things a little bit different. So what I'm bringing to the table is some heat shrink tubing because I want to protect the hose a bit better. Some P-clips because I hate self-adhesive anything. Some 3/16 rivets. And I've built my own bracket, so I'm going to need 2 bolts to go through here. One thing Tutoro don't supply, they only supply one long bolt for attaching the actual oiler to the frame. And my bracket, I've made my own bracket, and it attaches both holes, and I needed a longer bolt, and I like stainless steel, so I've gone and pulled out of my kit another couple of bolts. They're obviously too long, and I'll shorten them up when I go to put it together. The bracket I made is just made out of some 6.3mm rod and some 3mm flat bar, so we'll see some more of that later. So a bit of a progress update. Got the Tutoro mounted. Got a hose run down over there, loops around, and then see that runs underneath the chain slider, in between the chain slider and the swing arm. And here's the big move inside. Just riveted an insulated P-clip to the inside of the swing arm, and then I've used the Tutoro mount system, and that's how I'm going to mount the dripper so that it attaches to the swing arm. So there's enough length here that the wheel can come all the way back in the chain slider, and then I'll just move the assembly forward a little bit, and it'll just zigzag the pipe here. It's one of the reasons why I've got the Tutoro mounted so high, is because I wanted to get that drip height, I want to get that gravity feed to run through enough. So I'm pretty happy with the way it's turned out. It sits in nice and tight. It's got plenty of clearance from the exhaust. It's got some clearance front and back. I can still get access to the adjusters for the rear suspension, and the adjuster for the Tutoro is at the rear, so I'm not going to be rubbing my leg on it. When I check where my leg runs, it runs past the frame here. It doesn't actually touch the Tutoro, so that should be pretty good. There's a nice little amount of clearance in here. I get to the cap easy. Refilling should be easy. Okay, so here it is installed. Don't know how well you can see up in there. That it's lined up on the sprocket there. You see it's supported pretty well here. I had some problems some people are having with the when they're using the zip ties, and the nozzle hangs too far out away from the swing arm. It just sort of droops and then gets caught in the chain and sprockets and then gets eaten. So I think this pretty much avoids that. And then you see the hose. I don't know how clear that is. You can see the hose comes through underneath the swing arm, but above the chain guide, so it should protect it nicely. And then let's see, there's a P-clip down in there. And that's just using one of the bolts for the chain slider. And it feeds up and around in behind. And the bracket I made just sort of sits in between the heel guard and the heel guard mount. And then the hose runs up along the frame there and up into the bottle. I left some clear of the heat shrink up there so I could see if it was priming or not. And there it is, she's almost full. It's primed up. I'll come around this side and see if you can see. So there it is mounted. You can see it there. If I run that wheel forward, so there's a bit of clearance there. It shouldn't get eaten. The chain is adjusted a fair way back, so it uses up a fair amount of the hose. But if I run it forward, I can just bend it up and make some slack in there. And if I come back, I can get a little bit back more to get it further back. So that's the install. Let's go over some of the parts. So here's what I didn't use. I didn't use any of the zip ties because they're all really long ones for going around the swing arm, but I didn't need to use long ones, so I've kept them for something else maybe. There's a couple of bolts left over in that bracket. Didn't bother using that. Haven't used that piece either. That might come in handy later if I decide it's not working as well as I like. I might modify it. This is how much hose was left over. Quite a bit. Haven't used any of these. They're just a self-adhesive. Like I said before, I hate self-adhesive, and I haven't used the wipes. I've got alcohol in the bottle, so I'd use that over using the wipes anyway. I've still got that I can take with me if I go on a long ride. And this is the oil. See, that's how much is used out of the toilet to fill it up one time. So much for all that. So these are the tools I used. Pretty important. I made sure I center punched and tapped the holes. Center punched the holes before I drilled them. And then because it's pretty tight in there and the drill would only get in there on an angle, I used the Dremel to get in there nice and tight and get a nice square cut. And then a 3/16 drill. 3/16 drill bit. And of course the rivet gun. Use my own hex keys. 8mm socket and an 8mm spanner. Pliers and side cutters. Of course, a scribe to mark out, and the swing arm. I went pretty slow and easy with the swing arm just to make sure the holes went in the right spot. Along with making my own bracket, I used like the welder, grinder, hacksaw to make my own bracket. So it's probably not your average removal. It's probably not your average install, but it worked pretty good, so I'm pretty happy.